In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, hello, hello. Ryan Roxie here, and welcome to another live stream episode of In the Trenches. In the Trenches. In the Trenches. Happy 7-7 day. No, it's not the coffee. It must be the cocktail. I got a coffee and a cocktail because I am excited to do today's show. You know, I'm always excited to do today's show, but today particularly, happy 7-7, by the way, folks. If you are listening to it on Apple or any of the other Spotify, any of the other straight ahead podcast platforms, you might want to make your way over to YouTube Live or Facebook Live, join our chat and subscribe and be a part of it all, because today is definitely something to be a part of. If you are a guitar player or an aspiring guitar player, I think you know our guest. You have to have seen our guest at least once, twice, 3 million times, because he's got that many views on lots of his videos. I want you to welcome, because I want to, you know what? Here's the thing. When we were doing our research on our guest today, wasn't a whole lot of info out there. For someone with so many YouTube followers, we had to really dig deep, and I sort of, be investigative. So today we're going to get inside the head, find out what makes him tick, and just pretty much celebrate the guitar, So welcome to In the Trenches. Would you please welcome Mr. Marty Schwartz? Hello, Marty. There he is, man of mystery.
Hey, what's up? How's it going, Ryan? Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
I feel like I'm watching YouTube right now, just looking at you, because I've seen your face so many times, just when you start a video like that and you go, hey, I'm Marty Schwartz. And I'm like, wait a second, that is really Marty Schwartz I'm talking to.
I mean, maybe I should play Sorry.
You know what? We haven't perfected the online jam yet, Dill. I know there's still some latency issues, but I did tell Marty before we started the show that in honor of Marty Schwartz, I'm playing my 335 today. I know that is one of your guitars of choice.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all that sort of equipment, all that kind of stuff. But
I'm here.
There he is. It's Marty Schwartz, man. I've been wanting to have you on this show for a while now, because there it is. You're getting love from the chat room already. Because I wanted to find out your whole story, because I think it fits into the In the Trenches sort of storyline of what we have with our subjects. A lot of them, a lot of our guests that we have on play with bands that are established, like me, sort of riding the coattails of a big name. But you are a bit different in the sense that you are more of a self-made phenomenon. You've sort of created this online platform. And for those of you that, I guess have never been on YouTube before, then you don't know about Marty Music, but of course you have, because this is Marty Music. This is the man behind Marty Music. I want to sort of find out about that, how that all came to be, but where it all started. So
yeah,
you could do.
Let's start with, yeah. Well, that's a nice segue into how you and I first met and know each other. And I want to throw out a huge shout out to you and your bandmates in the Alice Cooper band. Before any of the internet YouTube stuff was happening for me, actually, I think it was even before YouTube existed, I played with your drummer, Glenn Sobel, who's my friend as well. I played with your drummer, Glenn Sobel, with an American Idol singer named Elliot Yamin. So that's how Glenn and I got to know each other. And then we always stayed in touch. We were both really into this future technology. At the time that we were doing that gig, we did a European tour together. And this is before he was in Alice Cooper, before he knew he would even play with Alice Cooper. So
was it Beautiful Creatures? Was it before Beautiful Creatures?
This was after Beautiful Creatures. So this is like, this is probably, man, I can't even, time is such a blur, but I've been doing,
especially this year.
Yeah. Oh my God. I've been doing YouTube for about 12 years. So it was a good, 3 or 4 years before that. So we're talking like 15 years ago.
This is interesting because I'm going to have Glenn Sobel on in just a few weeks, so we'll be able to revisit this band. Did this band that you toured with in Europe, did it have a name, or were you guys under?
It was the singer Elliot Yamin from American Idol. So it was him, and we were the band for to back him up. But I do remember even back then we had like those white flip cameras.
Flip phones. Oh, it was a flip phone or flip camera.
But no, those white, flip's not the right word. There was these little white video cameras before phones could take good video. I mean,
Vic, can you put a picture of one of those up, please?
Yeah.
Our producer usually has stuff like that.
Yeah, it looks like a little white Game Boy or something. But I remember like talking about, someday I think people will just be be doing video everywhere they are, the backstage or their band or the shows. Everything's going to be videoed. So I remember that seed way back, over 15 years ago, talking about kind of like the future that we felt could be coming. But so that's how you and I met, is through Glenn Sobel. So, cut to, a decade later, Glenn ends up playing with you with Alice Cooper. And I also want to say that I've seen you guys a handful of times because Glenn always invites me when you guys are in town, which I appreciate that kindness and friendship. But what I want to tell you guys is you've always, every time I've gone to see you guys, you've always been, each one of you. So let's see, you've got Ryan Roxie, of course. But we got Glenn, right? We got
Chuck Garrick, yeah.
Tommy
Hendrickson, yeah.
And Nita,
and of course we got some funny guy with weird eye makeup on. I don't know,
obviously, the man, the myth, the legend, but and amazing golfer. So all of you guys have always been so cool. So
Marty, I'm flattered that you're introducing us as sort of like individual members of a band, because that's that Guns N' Roses or Kiss factor. It's like all of a sudden everyone has their sort of favorite sort of Alice Cooper band member, which is great. And I think, and so the fact that you're doing that, but let's be factual. When we play those places and we walk around the casinos and stuff like that, there's not people stopping Glenn Sobel. They're stopping you, man, because they know they've seen you or you have taught them a song or two over the years. And that's what I'm most impressed by you, is that you've been able to see that foresight of what's going to happen with music, way back in the white flip phones or white phones or whatever, before the internet, before YouTube was even off the ground. There it is.
Okay.
He's quick. That's what I'm telling.
I was just making sure I did have it right. Okay.
So you've been able to take that, put it into action, and now you've turned it into not just a career, but sort of a pioneer of what online lessons is about. So, kudos to you, man. And definitely you deserve all the success that you've been having. What is the first, do you remember the first video you ever put up? All those years?
Yeah. The first, failure is a huge part of why I have the gig I have, So there's a lot of lessons in that. But the first video I ever shot where I consciously decided that I was going to make YouTube videos was this song. Yeah. So Glenn and I, when we played, over 15 years ago, at that point in my life, I was a full-time gigging musician. Obviously, Glenn and I were both playing with an American Idol guy. And then I had been in original bands and all that stuff. And then I played local bands in Southern California. I've done lots of, thousands of gigs before YouTube even existed. Thousands of gigs, cover gigs, original gigs, solo restaurant gigs with a looper pedal.
You ever play in the wedding band? You did a wedding band?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
The first like real pro band I played in, I was probably about, I was still in college, and I took over for my guitar teacher in college, who was in this like kind of corporate, cover band. He had gotten burned out, and here I am, 20 22 years old, just fired up to actually be able to pay my rent playing guitar was an amazing feeling. But so that kind of started down that road. And that particular guitar teacher, I really looked up to him because, I mean, he had this killer life and he wasn't like a famous guitar player. He showed me that you can make a living. Well, it's harder now, but you know, back in the 90s, like I saw this guitar teacher of mine, was probably about 10 years older, like super, you know, hot girlfriend, great little house. This was in where I went to college in Santa Fe, New Mexico, but like
Nice.
hot girlfriend, number one, important, killer pad, guitars, taught at my college is his day gig, and then played in bands and did recording sessions and was not famous. So I was like, wow, like that's a guy. Like, so if you have that ambition to try and make it as far as you can do that while you're trying to take it, you know, play that lottery of whatever it is, right? So I saw that it was a possibility. But basically, ever since that moment, I always was able to, you know, I didn't make a great living, but I was able to, you know, scrape by. So pretty much that entire time.
Private lessons you were mostly doing? Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what I was going to say is like, I got in this corporate band. And so I was like, okay, well, that's my night. You know, we played like 3 nights a week. I was like, all right, that gig's good, but what do I do during the day? And I was like, well, I can be just like my guitar teacher, Chris, and figure out maybe I can start getting some students because I enjoyed passing on the information that had helped me. So that became my day job. And then, you know, I eventually moved back to Southern California, and same thing, just found bands to play in, taught guitar during the day. So pretty much from the time before I was even out of college, I was gigging and eventually started teaching guitar. Once I was on tour in Europe with our mutual friend Glenn, you know, 15 years ago, I think, I had a baby daughter because my daughter's 15 now. But, you know, at the time it was just, I was really starting to feel like, man, I need a little more security. I need a little more just steadiness, you know. I was getting a little older, thinking about the future way more than when I'm in my 20s, you know. But when I talk about failure, what ended up happening with me is in 2005, so I'll cut to 2005. So we're getting closer to all this.
Right.
2005, randomly, just because I was known in my community as a guitar teacher and I have a music degree, I got this random call from an elementary school in Carlsbad, California. And their music teacher had quit right before the school year was going to start. So they were in like a kind of desperate, we need someone, we need a music teacher, not a guitar teacher, but like, you know, a general music teacher.
Yeah. You can teach percussion, you can teach the triangle, you can
triangle, recorder, you know, do, re, mi, this land is your land, this
all
land,
of them. All the hits.
Kindergarten to 5th grade, man. So I walked in there to the interview and I was thinking, wow, this could be a brand new experience for me. And I told them, I said, look, I have no experience in what you're looking for, but here I am, a professional musician. And I hated music in elementary school. I hated the music class. And so, you know, it was really boring and I just zoned out. But here I am doing music for a living. So obviously, nothing was grabbing me back then to inspire me. So if you guys were to hire me, I don't know what I'm doing, but I would at least do what I wish someone would have done with me back then. It's like the kids walk in, I put the guitar out, you know, we're you know, I'd
big A chord.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
You know, and they would I'd have them in the palm of my hand, you know.
Well, it goes back to me, to Marty. It goes back to knowing who your first guitar teacher was. You still know his name. I know mine, the name of mine, who I grew up. His name was Steve Phillips. The story was not that much different than the one you told. He was the cool guy. He played in a local band. And one of the first, I remember the first lick that he taught me was... And after Peter Frampton, the rest was, okay, I'm going to do that for a living. So
that's so cool.
And the fact that I just wanted to get it straight because, like I said, we did a lot of research of trying to figure it out. You are originally born and raised in California, Southern California.
Yeah,
Southern
California, born and raised. I migrated down to like North San Diego because of a band that I had auditioned for, over 20 years now ago, an original band in San Diego that was like at the time in like 1999, they were pretty much the most popular band in San Diego. And I just jumped in, man. I had to learn 2 songs for the audition. But I learned the whole album, I'm sure you understand that. I wanted it. It got
the things that we do for women in bands. We will move countries, we will move cities.
Yes.
So for those of you that are listening right now and just tuning in, we are here with guitarist, I would say world guitarist, guitar teacher to the world, and international interpreter of mystery. I will say that. You're listening to In the Trenches podcast with Ryan Roxie. I'm Ryan Roxie, and we are here with Marty Schwartz. So, if you're just tuning in again, subscribe to that YouTube button, and let's hear more about the history and sort of how it came to be that you sort of went from a guitar teacher online, seeing doing private lessons, to seeing that foresight of, hey, maybe everything online is happening, and then now you're a teacher. You have a teaching gig, but how does that translate over to online?
Yeah, so we're getting closer. So in 2005, I just totally randomly got hired as an elementary school music teacher, and it was about 20 hours a week, so it wasn't full time. But because of that gig, and I did it for 3 years, because of that, I got even more known in that little community, the little city there. And so I became like the guitar teacher of that community. So really being the elementary school music teacher just really boosted all my private guitar lessons, right? So it was like the best like student generator ever, was being this trusted teacher at this elementary school. So, really I enjoyed working with the kids, and it was a lot of hard work. It was super draining. But because of that, I was like, I think maybe this is where I'm supposed to be, or my calling, right? So I started considering maybe even getting more into teaching elementary school, like maybe even going back to school and getting my teaching credential to teach school. I was just natural with the kids. But in 2008, the economy crashed. And so I got laid off from the teaching job, and I lost a lot of students. I lost a lot of gigs. All these different things happened, compounded really quickly in 2008, where I was really worried that I could pay my bills. And, I had this nightmare and scenario in my head of like having to like move back in with my parents, and I had a wife and kid like that. So that's like pure failure, right? So that's why I said failure. It was like and it connects to the don't let me down. So during this time that I was teaching elementary school music, every once in a while a kid wouldn't practice. A lot. They wouldn't practice in my private lessons. So I started
used to be that kid. I was that kid.
I know. Well, I have this is advanced. What
do you got there?
My laptop raised on a cardboard box right now.
Oh, dude, those cardboard boxes make the best sort of height.
I just gave it away. The
secret
technology that I'm using. But no, I'll tell you what, I was teaching these lessons, and the kids like you that would say, oh, I forgot how it went, or I didn't practice. I had this one kid that it was like 3 weeks in a row. I still remember it was the song Fire by Hendrix, which I was always trying to get the kids into cool music, But I remember
you played that with Alice. I remember playing a couple versions of Fire, and it's not the easiest song. Tell me, Fire. It's a tricky little right hand rhythm and stuff. But I'm sure you have a good way of teaching it that this kid was able to do.
So I said, you know what? I don't want to hear that you didn't practice or you don't remember how it goes. I'm going to record, I'm going to record it on my laptop right now. And then I'm going to put it up on this thing, YouTube, and I'm going to put your name in the tag words. So all you have to do is type your name in and the video will pop up and then you can play along with it. And I'm going to check how many views it got to make sure that I know that you practiced, right? So we're talking like 3 views. And I was like, that's like kind of a clever little thing to add to my guitar lesson routine that would make me different than other guitar teachers is I start shooting like the synopsis of each lesson, putting it on YouTube for them to then watch later. That was like my big idea. It wasn't to reach strangers. It was to just supplement and be like what I thought super innovative for my private students, making video, like extra video content for them. So it was a very
you weren't expecting this other audience to be sort of voyeuristic and wanting to sort of, hey, let's see what's going on with this guy.
Right. Wow. But because I took the action, it then had results that I wasn't expecting, which then gave me the fortitude to tweak it a little bit. And I'll explain that in 1 second. So I was filming little clips, and also I thought that I could have those clips up when someone would call on a referral that were like, yeah, someone told me you teach guitar, and I don't know if you're right for my kid, or I've always wanted to learn to solo, but I can only play chords, whatever it is. I could tell them, oh, you can go to my YouTube channel and see like my style of teaching. And also I'll make clips from our lessons too. So I think it'll be really helpful to you. So it really started super organic as like an organic little supplemental thing. Right. And I was teaching full-time elementary school. I was teaching students and gigging at night. So when the economy crashed, I already had like a tiny bit of video stuff for my private students. That's all I thought of it as. But when I got laid off and I lost some students, I was like, oh shit, man, like I really need to set myself apart. I should start, making tons of videos, not just for my actual private students, but I should start making videos to just market myself, reach people. Right. So the reason I always think about Don't Let Me Down is I got called into the elementary school in the summer of my, what would have been my 4th year teaching there. They called me in and they said, they cut the funding for music. So we're going to not have you this year. And I was like devastated. I thought that was my whole future. Right. So I was super devastated, and I drove home and I went into where I'm at right now. This is my garage. I mean, I built out a little studio room here in my garage, but I came back here.
It's a recording complex. So we want the myth. We still want the, I'm in my son's room. But a lot of people think it's New York City.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand you. So you're in your recording complex / garage.
Yeah. Man cave, So I walked in, I was driving home from being laid off, thinking like my whole world is ending because I could see shit like the economy's, it's like the pandemic right now. It's like
right now, it's full.
You know what? The end story. Like we don't know.
360 to 2008 right now. That's why I think this story is so inspiring that we're hearing right now. And I had no idea that you were going to tell it this way. But the way you say about failure, losing your job, financial crisis. There's a lot of people right now in those same exact positions, and the fact that you were able to put action and innovate, and now you are now, folks, I'm not lying when I say this number, 2.2 million YouTube followers later. This is a story that I think is like the playbook of In the Trenches, because you've definitely made something huge out of something that could have been tragic.
Absolutely. And if I wouldn't have had, because I worked nonstop up to 2008, right? I taught all day, school ended, and then I taught private lessons afterwards. I'd get home at like 7 at night. Saturdays, I taught all day and then had a reoccurring Saturday night gig at the school bar in Orange County. So, I mean, I was working nonstop. So because of that, I didn't have that like free energy to like reinvent myself. I was too busy going check to check to make sure my family was fed, So getting that everything taken away from me, which, I was terrified, but it also opened up my mind to be like, oh shit. I mean, yeah, you got to scramble, but all of a sudden I had nothing to lose. So I drove home from getting laid off, got in here, I filmed all my early videos right with my laptop camera. And I had like a little looper version of Don't Let Me Down that I had played a lot at, I had a couple of solo restaurant background music gigs. So I had a little repertoire of like little jammy covers I could do. So I always liked Don't Let Me Down, plus the emotional content of the song related to what like was going on in that very moment. So I drove home, I shot that video, but that was the conscious decision of like, okay, now I'm going to start making videos just for the people out there and see what happens. Another really happy accident. One of my private students, how I said I used to title those early videos like, for instance, if I had taught you fire, the video title would be Ryan Roxie's lesson on July 7th, 2020, right? So no one's searching for that in the search engine. One time, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was teaching Mississippi Queen by Mountain to a little kid. Thanks to the game Guitar Hero, because there were so many cool songs in that little kid got turned on to, which was so great for me back then as a guitar teacher. But anyway, I taught Mississippi Queen Mountain, and just without thinking about it, I remember still I titled the video Queen, or like how to play the intro to Mississippi Queen by Mountain for Ryan Roxie on July 7th, blah, 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 right? And it got like a couple hundred extra views than the other videos. And it was
just thinking tag words. It's a little bit about the title, tag words, all that kind of stuff, right?
Search engine SEO, search engine optimization. It wasn't a word I knew, but that's what I fell into by accident. I was like, oh shit, it's got 100 views. Like, that's amazing. So I'm going to start doing that with my other ones, right? But then also I just started like every day. I'm like, I'm just going to start teaching stuff, and with no plan. I was really trying to get more private students. It was as simple as that. Because that's how I made a living, right?
And now the living is made through online. So
yeah,
I love the way that there is the thing that you thought you had a goal. You actually had the goal of, okay, I'm going to get more students, but you didn't know how you were going to get more students. And now you have 2.2 million students. And I'm even seeing in the comments chat, there's a lot of the students that I teach with my guitar method that are saying, I'm actually cheating on you, Roxie. I'm looking at Marty, and which is completely fine, because I think you should learn from as many influences as possible, because what works for somebody might not work for the other person. So you always take what works. I always say, to this day, I go on YouTube and I find suggestions about certain, I'm not lying, folks. I go on to learn some Alice Cooper songs that are in the repertoire and how they play it, because you know what? Sometimes they play it better than me. Way better.
Tommy, when I first met Tommy, your other guitar player, he said something like that to me. He was like, I checked one of your videos on this thing, man, which was so cool.
Well, when did you really start feeling like that? Because we met right about the time you were going to kick off Marty Music. And I know you were already established at that point, but at the same, when did you start feeling like, okay, wow, this is really snowballing into something big?
It was like 2008, 2009. It was just a brand new world of YouTube starting. And, I navigated through lots of things and a lot more lessons, which then eventually led to me doing something completely on my own. So Marty Music, is completely, I own 100% of it. And, that only Marty Music was that. Anyway, I was busy with lots of opportunities on YouTube, and basically there's stuff I'll skip over, so I'll just be like, and then it led to me starting my own thing, Marty Music.
Perfect. I get it. Well, we'll wait for the Netflix show to come out. The making of Marty. But I actually wanted to get in real quick because that does bring us a little bit to present day. And I wanted to sort of put out a new little ITT segment, which is in the trenches segment, because Alice Cooper always says, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And because we did a lot of good research to sort of figure out, peel the onions off of the onion layers off of Marty Schwartz, I have a few things that might be fact or fiction, a few questions that came up through my research. And I think you've answered a couple of them. Go ahead.
Yeah. And one thing, you may there because we didn't do any pre-interview stuff. I mean, we talked, but we didn't talk about what we were going to talk about. So there may be I don't know what you're about to ask, but something may pop up where I'm gonna have to say no comment. But go for it.
All right, great. I love it. Because that will mean you're gonna plead the fifth. I love the fifth. Don't drop that 335. All right.
I almost dropped my guitar. Anyway, I'm ready. All right.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Or let's see, is this fact or fiction? And I think you might have answered this a little bit earlier, but do you actually have a bachelor's degree in contemporary music performance?
Yes. Yes, I do.
You do. Okay. Yeah. So, and that was in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Why was New Mexico the choice of to go to college?
Super easy answer. Ooh, fact. Man, nice production.
Oh, dude, that's Vic Chalfant right there. He loves the shout outs.
I'm stealing Vic. I'm getting Vic.
Everybody wants him.
Wow. So luxurious. Contemporary. Santa Fe. Yeah. It's real easy. I was not the person growing up to become a musician. Guitar was something I started my senior year of high school because I just dug it, man, and girls liked it, and I was just getting super into. All of a sudden, I realized that guitar wasn't as hard as it seemed, so I just got super addicted to it, but not to the point where I'm not a bachelor, actually. I have a degree in
bachelor degree.
Yeah, that's
fine line.
No, I am married actually, but real simple. I did not have aspirations, or did I feel like I was good enough to be a professional musician? Never. It was couldn't be more of a fantasy. So I actually always was really passionate about movies and film. So I really wanted to go to film school, but I also wanted to just leave California to experience something. And there just happened to be this cool art school in Santa Fe, New Mexico that specialized in, film and video production. They had turquoise.
Come on.
Yeah.
They had to crystallize in
turquoise. Still got the turquoise. But no, it was they had it's called the College of Santa Fe, and they had professional sound stages there that professional movies would actually film there, and students could intern on Hollywood movies like City Slickers, Wyatt Earp, television shows were shot there. So any deserty movies or shows, they would do the interior shots at the soundstage at my college, because they didn't want to have to, they wanted to shoot all the stuff in one location. So in Santa Fe, there was this classic, Western set. And so Wyatt Earp, they shot the Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp movie all outdoors there. But when they'd go into the saloon or into the house or into the cabin or whatever, they had that all set up inside the soundstage. So basically I went there to study film and to hopefully come back with experience and come back to California and just work in that industry. But fate had another plan. Wow. I got even more into music when I went to college, and for whatever reason, the music students were the cooler students, much cooler than the film students. The film students, not, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of the film students were very pretentious. They already thought they were the next Steven Spielberg or whatever. I don't know why. Whereas the musicians were just, killer, down to earth, like you, Ryan.
Yeah, we just want to make a living, man. We want to make it to the next one.
Yeah, let's hang and jam. And so I just gravitated. And once again, I found that guitar teacher I was talking about. I was like taking the guitar lessons at college, literally just because I dug guitar. So I was a film major, and my favorite thing was going to my guitar lessons. So about 2 years in, I switched majors because it was all I was doing. I had 2 bands. I practiced all day, every day, not because I felt like I had to, just because I dug it. And it just took over. And I remember telling my parents that I was going to switch to music major, and they were really, really upset. And I wasn't thought of as like a musically talented person, but I was working really hard at it. And so it just took over. But Santa Fe is because I was going to study film. And it's weird when cut to 2008, when I, started making YouTube videos, all of a sudden that little
production experience,
original passion I had. I mean, I'm using, a lighting setup, and you have good lighting.
You have good lighting.
I've had to figure it all out, but it's kind of fun. It's amazing. Like, I sit here and think about how the job I currently have was like the perfect job for my skills and traits, and it didn't even exist. Like, I'd rather be doing what I'm like the most fulfilled career wise. Like, I'm trying to make the most of it. And I really try to make the most of it. And I feel my mission in life. I know what I'm here to do.
You're teaching hundreds of thousands, millions of people guitar.
And I think so grateful that I can sit here and do this and support my family, because, it was not always easy to pay the bills, So yeah, I'm like the happiest.
That says the reason why you found your window, and you've gone through it. You found your door. I say, whatever door it is that you're really something that you're really good at, you do that, because the money will come later, because the money should be the goal. The money will be one of those fringe benefits of it. So you learned, I'm happy to hear that you learned your lighting and all that stuff from Santa Fe College. I learned all my lighting and YouTube from YouTube, to be honest with you, about and have a cool looking microphone and stuff.
Well, and what about you and I learning guitar? Like, what if we had YouTube? I mean,
man, what if we just had that one control on YouTube, folks? If you're in the chat room and you don't know about the slowing down of the speed of the YouTube video, it is amazing for learning any guitar lick you've ever wanted to learn. Plus, you can listen to anybody, any drunk politician. You just put them on 50% down and watch their speech. It's pretty amazing.
Like they really need that. But I'll take it one farther, because the company's about to get a free plug, because I have it's not affiliated. I'm not affiliated anyway, but there's a pedal called the Vidami, a Vidami, and it hooks to your computer, and hands free, you can loop, slow down, and scroll back and forth on YouTube videos with a pedal. So for like learning guitar, I can loop a little, I do it all the time, but loop a little solo or a little riff, and without even taking my hands off the guitar, I can keep repeating the YouTube video, slowing it down. So that's called the Vidami, and it's just a great little, it's a family in LA making them in their garage. So
I love how you just find these little things when you're, sort of doing your craft, and I found so many little tips and other companies. One of these that we're doing right now with the StreamYard, what we film on our platform with all these overlays and stuff, that was just one of those things that my buddy Stephen turned us on to, and it was great. So
this is not my first StreamYard, actually.
It's not your first StreamYard?
No.
We thought you were our first. You're our first 2.2 million follower interview.
The best one now. You were the best.
Thank you. Well, now that last question, fact or fiction, which it turned out to be fact, you do have a bachelor's degree, it turns in what you were talking about, turns into my next question, because have you ever taught, when you're talking about your movie business and all the movie sort of people that were in the Santa Fe College, then you go to Los Angeles, create your empire. Are there any movie actors, famous actors, actresses that have asked you to teach them guitar because you are Marty Schwartz? And if they are, can you divulge names? Is that a fact or fiction?
Yeah, no, fact. And I love this question because I don't have to brag, because you asked it.
Yes, I did.
Right?
You can drop all the names you want. Start dropping.
Name dropping, sprinkling everywhere. But by far the coolest person I've taught, who I dare I say I am friends with, is Jason Statham.
Nice, man. So let's talk about his flaws. All right, let's talk about what he doesn't know how to. Yeah. He doesn't know how to do a C chord, right?
Well, yeah, right.
What does he do good?
Well, if you can imagine what it would take to talk about building empires, like build the empire that Jason Statham has built. I mean, he's actually much bigger star in Asia than here even, and his career has only gone like that for years and years and years.
It started for me with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah,
I mean, that when his performance in that. But I felt that all those actors in that movie, because that was Guy Ritchie's first film, I believe. But that was like that whole cast was amazing. But it's kind of strange how he was the one that sort of rose to the top.
What's interesting about that, Guy Ritchie was making that movie, and is there a guy named Vinnie Jones in that? Like another actor?
Yeah, he used to be an actual football player, a soccer player. Yeah, he was a
okay. So Vinnie Jones and Jason Statham, I hope I'm not messing this story up. Doesn't matter, right?
Hey, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, Alice Cooper. Yeah, I got to remember that. I believe Vinnie Jones and Jason Statham knew each other. Jason Statham had no acting aspirations. Basically, Guy Ritchie was making that movie, and he was saying, "Yeah, I need like a streetwise kind of street vendor, smooth talking, streetwise street salesman type of role." And Vinnie Jones is like, "Well, my mate Jason Statham is a street vendor guy." Or whatever role he was cast in that movie, it was who he was for real. Like that was his personality. So he didn't really have much that he had to do. And yeah, for whatever reason, it's that same thing, man. Happy accident. He was an Olympic diver at one point, even though England didn't.
He didn't teach you. He didn't want to get diving lessons from you. So how did it come about that he wanted to be you to be his guitar
teacher?
Teacher?
It was just basically I get emails, and someone emailed me and was like, "Yeah, I'm reaching out for my boss that wants private lessons with you. Do you do that?" And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm too busy to do that. And as I was responding, I saw at the very bottom, it said like the woman's name, it said assistant to Jason Statham. And I was like, oh shit, like Jason Statham. So then I had originally said no. And then I wrote her again. I'm like, oh, is it Jason Statham, the actor? And she said, yeah, he watches your videos and was wondering, he just wanted to at least try to get you to come and do it for real. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll give that a shot.
Couldn't you pull like a Dr. Evil and say, yeah, $1 million?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, that was the thing. He was like, what do I owe you? Or how much do you charge? And I just wanted to give it a shot and see what it was like. And I think I said like $100 an hour.
Wow.
And
Jason, you got off lucky. You got off light.
Well, let's put it this way. I said that because I wasn't really worried about it. I was just more knew it was going to be like a cool adventure. Who knows? We could end up becoming best friends and riding around in this Porsche and everything. But
yeah.
But basically, yeah, I was like, I told your assistant like $100 an hour, and he just like, I don't think this will ever get back to him, and it's only a good thing. But he just pulled out this giant wad.
Yeah, he made it rain on. He made it rain on Marty Schwartz.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay.
I think Vic has a video of that. Vic, you want to pull up that video of it making it rain on Marty Schwartz? No, he doesn't have that. Okay.
Oh, not quick enough. But no, so that's cool. I've become friends with some of those people like the Blues Brothers. I've talked to because they're working on a Broadway musical, and so they reached out to me about being involved with that. One of my earliest inspirations I've been talking to, and I was actually supposed to be in Europe right now, working on a video with Cat Stevens.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm serious. He's one of my heroes, one of my
Yeah.
musical heroes.
I mean, so relevant, even in especially in today's world, the songs. I mean, whenever you hear a Cat Stevens song these days, it almost sounds more contemporary than when my mother, who owned the album back in the late 70s, was playing. You know?
Yep. So he, you know, that was my same thing. Like my dad always had Cat Stevens is like was playing in my childhood memories, you know, and so whenever I would do a Cat Stevens lesson, I mean, it came about because when I would do a Cat Stevens lesson, I've done probably his 4 or 5 biggest songs or whatever. But anytime I do a Cat Stevens lesson, I'm always like, hey, shout out to Cat Stevens. He's like one of my heroes. Like his music was like my childhood music. So I'd always give a little special shout out to those special people in my life, you know, just for whatever reason. And then probably about 7 or 8 months ago, like I got a private message from him saying thank you and all this stuff. And then apparently, you know, he had a bunch of it was the 50th anniversary of Tea for the Tillerman, which is probably his biggest album. So that's this year. So they
Moon Shadow, right? I had Moon Shadow on.
We were gonna do 50
Morning That's Broken.
Yep, 50-year, you know, anniversary show. Like he had a bunch of stuff planned. And so me being the YouTube guitar guy, we were going to do a thing together and I was going to teach a song and, you know, just a way for them, you know, to promote. And so I just couldn't believe it. That was mind blowing. And so I'm still in touch with them. We're going to still do something, but we just don't know when or what. And then the other thing for me, especially as the elementary school music teacher, like the movie School of Rock, Jack Black, Tenacious D, were just huge. I was just huge fans of Jack Black and Tenacious D and School of Rock because School of Rock.
You though.
What?
Did they ask you to oh man, that's
I was gonna say, like, I mean, this was in the very beginning of my YouTube stuff. Before that, I felt like I did the School of Rock thing for real, you know, like I did. That's what I was as close to that character and like what he did in that movie. But the real life version, so it's not as entertaining. But
it's inspiring. What you did that's what you did, and that's what I try to do as a teacher with my System 12 guitar method. Is what you try to do with all your videos. You just inspire people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love it. I love everything that I'm able to do and reach people and help. Just know I'm helping people. Like it's an amazing feeling because I also make a living doing it. But yeah, Tenacious D was like, I mean, I'm like a Star Wars fanatic too, just because of my age. But like Tenacious D, like was just one of those things. And Jack Black, I really related to. And one of the NAMM shows, which is a music convention for people that don't know. I know you know, Ryan. But one of the NAMM shows, like over 10 years ago, I was shooting something next to a guitar, and this giant arm wraps around me, and it was Kyle Gass, the other member of Tenacious D. And he was like on camera, he like photobombed my video, and he was like, looked into the camera, he was like, don't watch this guy's lessons, watch my videos. Like he was just being a funny guy.
That's great, man.
I was just like, oh my God, Kyle Gass, like Tenacious D, oh shit. Like my mind, like I was super nerding out. And then they reached out to me like a week later for some video stuff they were doing. So I got to be on this little video show that they had. But I showed up and Jack Black was there, which is I was like, when no one was looking, I was like texting my wife and family, like, I'm with Jack Black right now. Holy shit. You know, so that was cool. I've met him a couple times now, but you
got Jason Statham, you got Jack Black at Tenacious D as well. You got the band. You also have I have Linda Carter. I jammed that old time rock and roll with Wonder Woman. So that's my name drop of the day. How about that?
I saw a picture of Glenn with Linda Carter.
That's right. Well, she loves Glenn. Linda Carter, Wonder Woman loves Glenn. So that's my rumor. That's my sort of soundbite.
I gotta throw out that she still looks amazing.
She does. She gives great marital advice too. Oh. She gave Bianca and I some great marital advice when we were in Hawaii. But the funny story about that is she came up to us and she says, I want to play that song, Old Time Rock and Roll. and Bob Seger, do you know it? And I'm like, everybody knows that song. It's great. But she goes, but we need a drummer. And I looked over my shoulder, and sitting right there is Steven Tyler. And you know, everyone knows Steven Tyler is the drummer. So he looks at me and he goes, all right, I'll play drums. And then he gets on the drums and he's yelling at me to speed up. I'm yelling at him to slow down. It was the first and only time in my life I think I could ever say I yelled at Steven Tyler, and I was able to do it in one of those, because when a drummer sits down with a guitar player, you kind of you have that height advantage for a minute, you know?
Yeah. High ground. The high ground.
Well, I'm gonna move on to one more of these fact or fictions. Then we have some questions from some fans, if that's okay, because they have some great questions. But this is the last one, fact or fiction. Don't ever let the truth get in the way of a good story. We are here with Marty Schwartz, international guitar instructor of mystery, pretty much the world's guitar teacher. Go check him out on YouTube as well. I'll just have to type in Marty Schwartz, of course. But this is my last fact or fiction. Are you or were you? Oh, hold on. Vic, our producer, put on something else. Okay, this is a very important thing, Vic. I need to have full screen. Thank you very much. For those of you that are watching just on listening on a regular platform, make your way over to YouTube Live, won't you? So you can see me yelling at my producer. That's always fun. Are you or were you ever in a band called the Damn Dirty Apes? And is this the picture to prove it? Now, hold on. Hold on. Now, let's go. Could that be, were you ever a part of a band called the Damn Dirty Apes?
It's funny because that guitar player does look like it could be me. My hair did look like that back then on the left. And I did have
a Strat,
a G&L that looked exactly like that.
Do you ever remember wearing?
I was in a band called Damn Dirty Apes.
There it is. Fact. Another fact, Vic. Fact. There we go.
But that's not me. I wish it was.
So wait, we got the picture wrong, but we got the story right.
Say that's me.
Okay. Yeah. It can be fact and fiction. We can have one of those.
Yeah. I was an astronaut before music, and we were on a astronaut mission, but we brought our instruments to stay sharp, and then we crashed, and the rest is history.
Well, I think we have and he made a YouTube video about it too, folks.
I was in a band called Damn Dirty Apes, but we didn't wear Planet of the
actual Planet of the Apes costumes. Okay. All right, that's good to know.
No, but I can tell you why we were called Damn Dirty Apes is because actually the whole reason I'm in San Diego, I was talking about the most popular band in San Diego at the time, or at least one of them, was called Wise Monkey Orchestra. And
what is your fascination with primates? You seem to have
I have nothing to do with it. I'm not a founding member. So basically, though, I auditioned. The band I auditioned for and got into was called Wise Monkey Orchestra. The vocalist was female. The bass player and the singer were married. She got pregnant with her third kid when we had been touring like road dogs. And so like maybe the fourth year in, she got pregnant. And so we had to stop touring. So the members, minus the bass player and singer, formed kind of an electronic fusion early, before EDM and instruments were together as much. We kind of had that idea, and we called it Damn Dirty Apes because it was basically Wise Monkey without the singer and bass player. So we were a new band.
You know what? It seems like almost like an evolution. See? It's a herd of apes or a pride of apes. What do you call a bunch of apes? A gang of apes? I don't.
Pride sounds maybe, but that's
lions. The pride of lions. You know what? Help us out on the chat board. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but I mean, man, I never worked harder for less reward than Damn Dirty Apes.
You came here to talk about guitar. You end up talking about primates. That's what I love about In the Trenches. We don't know where we'll go, but I know where we're actually headed because we're headed to some audience questions.
Cool.
I put it out there on the old Instagram. And by the way, folks, let's get this right now out there. If you want to follow Marty on your social media of choice, your social media platform of choice, I think, oh, wait a second. Whenever animals gather in groups, they are formally called apes, a shrewdness. Wow, a shrewdness of apes. Okay, great. Now we know that's a fact.
Wow.
I was just going to basically ask for your favorite social media links before we start getting into these audience questions. But
my favorite social security number? What?
No, not social security number. I wanted to ask about your social media sort of tags. And I think that on Instagram, you are at Marty Schwartz.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Marty Schwartz on Twitter, Marty Schwartz on Instagram, Marty Schwartz on Facebook, and then Marty Music on YouTube. And martymusic.com is the website. I have premium courses that you can, step by step that you can purchase at the website.
Marty Music, that's the money shot. That's the one where the 2.2 million reside. But you got great numbers on everywhere else. But there it is. There's the shot. If you guys are watching on YouTube and Facebook.
I want to throw out real quick because if you look down there, it says Chuck Berry, Roll Over Beethoven. That came out today. But Marty Music just turned 4 a couple weeks ago. And I have pretty much, I've never missed a release, but I've pretty much, some Sundays here and there where there haven't been videos, but in 4 years, I've pretty much released a video every single day in 4 years.
That is dedication. Congratulations. We do one live in the trenches a week, and I feel like we're overachieving, but but you know what? I'm gonna honestly hear from the whole Roxie Guitar Army.
Right,
well, I'm gonna hear from the whole Roxie Guitar Army team from now on. Like, we saw your podcast with Marty, and he says he puts one video out a day. Right. Why don't you? And don't worry, Chasing Frets. You have a question out here that we have. I remember Chasing Frets. At Chasing Frets has a question.
I do get amazing help. Like, I own 100% of Marty Music, but I have a network that my channel's under called Maiden Network out of Nashville, and they make me so much better than I am. So I always have to give them a huge shout out. That's
the way I feel about RGA. That's the way I feel about the Roxie Guitar Army. We got Vic.
I've never seen you this good.
Well, that's my lighting. That's the lighting that I looked at, that I took on YouTube videos.
But we have Vic early for me this morning. So.
It is, that's why I appreciate you, coming out from California. I appreciate you waking up on the West Coast so we can get our European audience to watch the show as well. But also, I mostly appreciate your good Wi-Fi, because all the guests we've had zero. Well, of course, I'm going to say that you're going to freeze. You're going to go. But anyway, I want to move on to some audience questions.
Fast Wi-Fi. I pay the premium the most you can pay is what I pay.
Good for you. Good for you. I was actually just going to give a whole bunch of love to my team, which is actually Vic Chalfant, Robby Miller, Scotty Hagan, Dave Rattenbury, Federock. They all help out, and plus everybody that's in the RGA, the Roxie Guitar Army, they help promote these shows, and I'm sure we are going to snowball this episode into many, many more views as well. 2.2 million is what I'm shooting for.
When this is over, I'll share the link out of this.
Perfect. Well, here, let's go for some questions. The first one, and because you played Don't Let Me Down, the Beatles, it always starts with the Beatles. That was your first video that you shot, but at Bellingerp asked, what was the first song you learned to play on your guitar?
That's a good one. Remember? Oh, I remember, because my dad showed it to me. My dad was kind of like a hippie hack guitar. He just knew some basic chords. He still just knows like A minor and D minor or whatever. But the first thing I ever learned, he showed it to me, sounds like this.
Team defeater gun, baby.
And if you want to get advanced, you switch to the string. Back. And that's pretty much all I knew for about 5 or 6 years. That was the only thing I could play.
Well, you said you taught the Blues Brothers, so that's obviously one of the tracks that you had to teach them.
Yeah, I had this amazing conversation with Judy Belushi about what they're trying to do with the Blues Brothers, John Belushi's widow. So that was pretty wild. And then a private message from Dan Aykroyd just, saying, "We love what you do, Marty." I mean, that was like ridiculous.
You know
These
what?
are heroes.
I'm going to throw it out there. I'm just throwing it out there, but you could be the 2020 version of Steve Cropper in the movie. What do you say?
Oh, dude, I would do. They did invite me because they do some. Oops.
It's all right.
They do some shows once in a while, but I was going to be like,
oh, God, you got props as well.
I don't know.
I have props because I can't really.
Come on, oh, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. What were we talking about?
No, that was great. That was your first song. You said Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, man. Michael McVeigh. Just so you know, that right there, there's our 335s today, and you were hanging out with Marty Schwartz on the old live stream in the trenches. Appreciate you guys hanging out. There's more questions that we have at Ben's 24112 LOL, which is somebody's laughing out loud. Is strumming 4 chords to a metronome good practice?
I would say absolutely. I mean, it's any music that you practice to a metronome is going to make you better. It can get frustrating, so sometimes just get rid of the metronome and test yourself out. But absolutely, another thing, if you have 4 chords that you're practicing to a metronome, maybe try and find a famous song that uses those 4 chords. You're not going to have a lot of if you have 4 chords that are the C, G, and D, and A minor, whatever, you're going to be able to find millions of songs that use those chords. So don't be afraid to find a real easy chord. So it's a little more rewarding when you play something you recognize. I mean, like Tom Petty, so many of his songs are just those great open chords. They're amazing songs. I mean, so don't be afraid to try and find
poor timing. I love it. Well, the good news for me is that I get to play in a band with a human metronome, which is Glenn Sobel, which you have,
I have played with, yes. And I got to say, Glenn, and it doesn't surprise me because you guys everyone in the Alice Cooper band comes off this way, but I know Glenn personally, where I don't know you guys as well because I'm friends with Glenn, but I mean, he's as professional as I've ever seen.
Right. No
Preparation, notes, showing up on time, every down the line, as professional as anyone I've ever seen.
Don't you think being on time is one of the sort of unwritten rules of being a professional musician?
Yeah, and it's so weird how difficult it is for some people.
Yeah, but not for you. You came in right on time. Good internet, high expensive internet, probably Jason Statham money right there. Internet.
Oh, hey, maybe not, but dude, that dude's
got good internet.
Right. Let's put it that way.
He's got good internet. So let's move on to some questions. At Justin Strudwick _guitarist writes, favorite guitar and why? And why do I think I know the answer to this question?
Yeah, I have. I mean, there's kind of 2 that are tied, but I like to talk about this one. I've had this one for less than a year. It's a Gibson ES3 335, brand new. But what's so special about this one, and some people have seen the video, it's up on YouTube, is I got to go to the Gibson factory to shoot a video on the making of a 335. So I went there and I actually made this guitar. I didn't,
So did you go to Nashville or did you go to Memphis?
Okay. Nashville, not the custom.
They used to make it the 335s in Memphis, and then they actually moved shop. Now they're all made in Nashville.
Now they're all made in Nashville. But so I literally walked down the line every step of the way, painting it, binding it, sanding it, every step of the way, and we shot it on video. And
you definitely polished it, mate. I can see the polish it's very shiny. I like it.
So I walked all the way down making this guitar. I was there. I was there for the birth of this guitar, and they literally strung it up at the end of the assembly line. The last guy there, you know, he strung it up, you know, did their test, whatever, handed it off to the other guy. They walked over to the spinning buffer, and they buffed it, and then said, "Here you go." And
so my next question was, what's more rewarding in your lifetime, the birth of your child or the birth of that 335? Wow.
They're both. They are. I have 2 kids actually, so I just didn't bring it up. But I mean, nothing blows your mind like being a parent. But this is related to being a father, because the drive to support my family is why I ever made YouTube videos in the first place. So to me, this is kind of this amazing symbol of me, you know, just I did it. You know, it's kind of a reward. And I'm working with Gibson still, so I have a little relationship with him. In fact, I hung out with Chuck, your bass player. He worked with Gibson, and and actually one of the coolest things about Chuck is because he's kind of intimidating, because he looks like a caveman or whatever, or like a
Bisto Blanco, dude. You don't have a name like Bisto Blanco and not be intimidating.
He looks like straight out of like Conan the Barbarian movie, you know, or like Mad Max or something. So I had, out of all you guys in the band, he's probably the one I had talked to the least. And so at this last NAMM show in January, because we're both working with Gibson, I went up to introduce myself to Chuck again, because we don't really know each other that well. But he was there at Gibson. I was at Gibson. I was like, Chuck. And he turned, he was like, Marty. Like, he knew my name and everything. So that was really nice.
There it is.
Yeah.
Chuck is one of the most approachable beasts you will ever meet. No
He's
doubt.
rad. You guys are all awesome, man.
There's a brotherhood there, man. There's no doubt. There's a brotherhood and sisterhood with Nita as well. And the band. And we honestly, what happened to my mic? Something happened. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. It's you know what? It might be my headphones. I might have to change my headphones real quick. Hold on one second. I can't hear my headphones. Vic, if you're there. Yeah. Sorry about that. For a second. But yeah, there is a brotherhood and sisterhood, and we welcome you guys all in. In fact, everybody that's watching, I know we're going a little bit over time right now, and I appreciate your willingness to stay on. And everybody that's been tuning in all day, we've been hanging out with Marty Schwartz, YouTube International and Guitar Instrument of Mystery. This will lead me to my next question. At Canuck KVDI, you know what? I just call him Ken because I like saying that. May you throw some light on some right hand and left hand coordination or economy of motion. Is economy of motion? I talk about economy of motion with my lessons, is saying that you should kind of keep your hand around the same area of the guitar neck, so you're not constantly going up and down to mess up your rhythm.
Yeah. One thing I can say, just a couple things that popped into my head looking at the question, is when you're practicing, I'm saying, not playing a show or whatever, but when you're like working on something, it is good, I find, to, when you're working on something, look at your right hand as you're doing the thing, and then also take some time and look at the left hand, you know, look at them both, and it actually really helps. Now, economy of motion, I probably, some of those things I probably just do naturally, just from playing a lot. I figure out what works for me, like playing a power chord with my pinky just because I'm lazy now, but I can do it. I'm not stretching as much, you know? Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
I definitely know that. I find myself constantly changing from the third to the fourth string. And I actually saw a girl on YouTube just the other day who played all her power chords with just the first finger and the second finger, which means that she has all those other fingers to stretch with. But like I said, I'm kind of like you. I'm a little lazy as I get more comfortable with my playing. I'm like, use the pinky. And I always say that this is your hidden star right there, right? It's a hidden finger.
Slash never uses pinky ever, right?
Well, I mean,
yeah. I mean, I don't think Clapton did either, but
I mean, your pinky, if you grow your fingernail long, I guess it's good for scooping up things. But no, the thing is, it was, I think Slash did use his pinky for a lot of stuff, but you could see him when he gets up on the solo. The one thing Slash doesn't do is, at least from my years of playing with him, he'd wear his guitar really down low and cool. But when you'd solo, he'd always put his foot up on a monitor. Yeah, then he'd get that high. That was a little good trick that he used a lot. So let me ask the next question. At Luke BZNet, at Luke BZNet, favorite BB King lick? Wow.
Yeah. Okay. It's this.
I like it.
It's when he goes to the. No, but he'll do that up high. Yeah.
All right. I just learned something from Marty Schwartz.
And I can't do that wiggle vibrato.
The vibrato, isn't that more just like that's your personality coming through?
Yeah.
All right. Me and you.
Yeah, man. BB Box, baby.
BB King.
He basically almost stayed in one little spot the whole time, and three or four notes, man, just could melt your mind. I saw BB King live. It was awesome. He was so great.
Thanks for making me feel a little bit like Jason Statham for a second there. I got a little lesson from Marty Schwartz, and it didn't cost me $100 an hour. I love it. Let's go for one more.
Okay.
Maybe a couple more. At Chasing Frets, because at Chasing Frets have been asking a lot of questions. What got Marty interested in guitar?
Let's see. Before I could even remember anything, there was always a guitar in my house because my dad had one. But what really inspired me to actually start playing guitar is just a weird thing. Like I saw Santana live.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
What year was that you saw Santana live? Because
I would say like 1992.
All right.
And but what I'm saying, it wasn't Santana. This band that this is pre-internet, so you got to understand, you discover bands differently back then. So you had MTV, you had the radio, maybe some friends, word of mouth, but you didn't really have like the thing where you could just discover anything at any time. So I saw Santana and this young band. I mean, they're older than me, but at the time, like a band of younger dudes opened for Santana, but they were like jamming and playing this kind of classic rock jam style music, and they were called Blues Traveler.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I didn't know that a young band could play like the Allman Brothers and Grateful Dead and Santana, Sly and the Family Stone, all these like, classic rock bands that were already over with. I didn't know that a young band could like follow in those footsteps. And that started the whole kind of jam band thing. And there's just something about that band at that moment was like my brain was like, oh shit, like this is something you can do and it's different. And
it's weird. All these years later, I could see you easily being in the band Blues Traveler.
Yeah. Well, I did get to play with them probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I just wish I could have traveled back in time to tell my 18-year-old self that I'd be on stage with them. But I will tell you, so, you know, that like moved me, and I started playing harmonica, and then that led me to grabbing a guitar. So it was just very organic. But, you know, if I could have told my 18-year-old self that I'd be on stage with them, it would just blow my mind. And I used to visualize like that I would be on stage with them. You know, I definitely had that vision in my head, and it was crazy that it was
imagining your reality. Just
27 years later, I was trading licks with John Popper face to face, you know, and it was just such a full circle moment for me. And my family was there, and some of my friends were there. And there's a video I have a video of me jamming with them, but that band, it's not like they're my ultimate favorite band. Like, I mean, I like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Bob Marley and all the greats, the icons. That's what I like. But for whatever reason, they were the right time for me to realize that, oh shit, like dudes can do this. And for whatever reason, it was just like the timing of it. And
that band for me that you're talking about, because for you it was Blues Travel. For me, it was Cheap Trick.
Love it. Yeah. Love Cheap Trick. Yeah, no, and I totally get it. I totally get it. If I would have been, I'm 45 right now, but if I was like 48 right now, it'd probably be Kiss for me. Because the guys that I was in music school with when I was the younger student, and the like juniors and seniors, or I don't even know if you call college students juniors or seniors, but like the graduating class when I was a freshman in college, they were doing jazz and all kinds of stuff, but Kiss was why they picked up an instrument.
Right.
So I recognize that.
So I have just one more of these questions, if you like.
Yeah, let's do it.
Augustine _Mora _MPF. That is a darn long handle that you have. But any hobbies besides playing guitar? Do you do other thing? Bird watching? Do you obviously
bird watching? That's funny. Hobbies. Well, I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. And so I try, and times are so weird right now, you know, like with the quarantining and all that stuff. But, you know, I definitely we were talking about visualizing and making things a reality, visualizing jamming with Blues Traveler, you know, visualizing the YouTube thing, like all these things that really is real. And I always have a little, some people, I guess it's corny, but like, you know, like a little vision board, like just reminders that,
those are real. They work.
They do.
The vision.
I know it worked for me. I'm not magic or the universe, but they work. It helps you focus, right? So I have one that says like gratitude, family. So I'm always trying to like, you know, just have interest in what my kids are doing and stuff like that. But I do like, you know, I'm a movie buff, so I love movies and shows. I really like the show like Top Chef and Chopped, like the cooking shows where they have to improvise. I really relate to the working under pressure and being creative. So I definitely dig those shows. But right now, I mean, as far as hobbies go, it's like between making a video every day and my kids knowing that I exist, and I have a wife too. So that, and then I have 3 dogs. So, you know, just family stuff, like, you know, just chilling with.
Asking, are you teaching your kids the guitar?
That's like the ultimate question I get constantly. And it's funny. They don't touch the guitar and they don't like the guitar. But what I think people will relate to, one, I think it's great for your kids to have their own identity. They don't have to follow in someone else's thing they did, you know. I think that's really natural. Like a good example is like Stella McCartney. You know, clearly she had these amazingly artistic parents, right? She didn't become a musician, but she had all that amazing creative genes or whatever, the art genes inside of her, and she became this great fashion person. You know, she never has to be in the shadow of Paul McCartney. She can be her own thing. But what people I think will understand is my daughter, who's 15, when she, just imagine the cutest little, 2 or 3 year old that like looks up to you like her hero and is so cute and, has you wrapped around her finger. If I'm sitting there and look like I'm really enjoying playing the guitar, like my little 2-3-year-old daughter who's 15 now, she'd come over to me and be like, "No, Dad, put that down. Play with me. Look at me." So it was actually a jealousy thing because they saw how much I enjoyed it.
This is my other. I saw this child getting born.
Yeah, no. So it really was always about, oh no, you're not going to do that right now. You're going to go play with me right now. Like, so in the early stages of it, it was more of a jealousy competition for my attention. And now they're just both my kids are really creative, artistic. I tell them they can do anything, and whatever they want to do. Like my daughter's really into visual arts. So I just support the crap out of it. In fact, my daughter came to me last night and was like, "I really want a designing tablet, specifically for art and design." And I was like, "Let's do it. I'm never going to stop you." It's all the stuff I wish, I mean, my parents were very supportive and great and did that kind of stuff, but I just want to take it even farther. I just want them to have, especially like tools. It's not like I'm spoiling them with gifts. It's like my daughter wants this creative tool to create,
that she can use to sort of find her niche of what she likes to do.
And my son makes YouTube videos that he's not in. Like he takes like plushy animals and like puts them in little funny skits and stuff. And so he's super into YouTube. And they're just doing the thing that kids do, like technology and all that. But really, hobbies.
I think the fact that they can see that you're doing something, you found your window, you found your purpose, you found something that you're really good at and you enjoy doing, especially for now. Maybe something else years now, but they can see that as an example. I think that's the best thing you can do for your kids is show them that, hey, you can find something that you like to do. It might not be what everyone says is the easy way, but it will happen. It will work if you just love doing it. And you're a good example of that.
Thanks. My mom, especially, I mean, my dad's great. They're both so supportive and proud of what I've done and everything. But my mom, like, she's an artist. She's very creative, always doing creative, artistic things, always made me believe that I could do stuff. She never made it seem like something was impossible. So I owe a lot of this to her specifically. And so I just want to follow in those footsteps with my own kids and just support the things that, and hopefully they find passions and things. And I would never want anyone to be a professional musician at this point.
Well, we don't know where professional music and performance especially is going, but we do know that the passion for learning the actual instrument is always going to be there, because I've received a lot of appreciation for what I teach and what I bring and how I can explain the guitar to certain people, as well as you do as well. You're providing sort of a whole new opportunity for people during these crazy times to learn guitar. Couldn't be a better time to learn.
Oh, for sure. And our mutual friend, your drummer, Glenn, when he introduced you and I together, I think within 10 seconds, you and I were pretty much only talking about guitar education. I remember we talked for a really long time about it. And
it was before you actually kicked off Marty Music, and then I remember it exploded from there. And I've been thinking I've been teaching guitar on and off since I was 16. I feel I've always sort of in one way or another been explaining the guitar to other people, hopefully inspiring.
Like as soon as I learned something, I'd be like, "Yo, check out this thing." It's always related.
When I was 16, because I knew Smoke on the Water better than other people could play it at my high school, I was able to teach, other high school kids Smoke on the Water. And that was sort of my little, hey, he's the Smoke on the Water guy.
Awesome. Yeah, I was not thought of as the music guy in high school at all. So it's funny to run into people so many years later, and it's like all I'm thought of is a guitar guy, you know. But back then, it was definitely not what people thought I would do.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you spending the time today, hanging out, finding a little bit more about Marty Schwartz. Obviously, if you are remotely interested in the guitar, remotely interested in sort of starting your guitar journey, check out Marty's YouTube page, as well as his other social medias at Marty Schwartz on Instagram as well. He's been nothing short of just a sheer pleasure, inspiration for having the trenches. Is there anything else that you want to maybe hype or plug that you're doing now? Because I know you're putting out a video a day. I guess you can't.
That's man. I usually wake up Monday morning with a little like list of things I'm going to try and accomplish that week. So basically, I'm just here, man. Like. When we get off
recording complex, not the garage.
Actually, the last time I had a guest here, you know, it's been a while now with the COVID thing, but the last guest I had here, he walked in and he was like, "This is it."
That could have been
Oh, Vic.
Oh, man.
Vic.
I just want to thanks everybody in the chat that's been there. If you're listening to it on YouTube or if you're listening to it on Facebook, thanks for hanging out in the chat. Thanks for also watching and listening to the In the Trenches podcast today. Like I said, we've been hanging out with Marty Schwartz. He's got all the things that you want to learn guitar on his YouTube channel. It's been great. I'd love to have you on a little bit later, like, you know, in the future when we figure out what we're doing with live performance, and continue to educate and inspire everyone out there. Marty, it's been a real pleasure having you in the trenches. Hang out for 1 second, but just if you'd like to say anything else to everyone out there watching.
All the comments, you guys, all the nice comments, thank you so much. And in all seriousness, I really do feel like the luckiest guy, man. I really try and thank the universe or whatever it is every day I wake up and I get to do this because I get to do what I love. I make a living doing it. But then on top of it, you know, I get to hear from people like this and know that I'm helping people enrich their life in some way, which what's better than music, you know? So I just want to say thank you. And I will do my best not to squander this opportunity I have. I'm going to give it my all for as long as I can. So thank you so much. And Ryan, dude, always nice hanging with you. Hopefully we hang in person.
We will soon. Yeah. It'll happen. It'll happen,
all right,
man. Thanks for thanks for coming on, Marty Schwartz. And next time, everybody there that's in the chat or listening right now, we hopefully have inspired you to pick up that guitar and play some rock and roll and play whatever music you like. Until next time, I'm Ryan Roxie. Enjoy the ride.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.